IT emerging as the key driver of growth for companies across the globe, IT security has become one of the biggest challenges of our times. Paladion Security Summit 2030, in association with Bloomberg TV India, saw the CISOs and CTOs of India's top companies come together to discuss and address the various security concerns that are faced by enterprises today.
In earlier days, the only information that we were protecting was information related to military strategies, and that probably is less than 0.01% of the entire information that the mankind could have. Today, we are protecting a lot more information. And I thought, why? What is the reason? The primary reason is what I call as monetization of data. What I mean by that is, you look at any data that you have today, there are people who can make money out of it. It's not just about credit card data that people can steal and make money. People can steal email data. If they can steal a lot of email data, there is an underground market for selling email data. What does the buyer do of that email data? He creates maybe phishing messages, he creates maybe remote access Trojan, he creates maybe keylogger and goes after these email guys and then tries to get money out of those unsuspecting users. You look at address, anybody's simple address may not be a data that you will be concerned about, but that's again a data which can be monetized. I can get hold of lots of addresses of some bank customers, sell it off to somebody underground. Somebody in underground will try to do identity theft around it, maybe apply for a ATM card using that address and do lots of things. So any data that you look at today can be monetized.
Vectors that hackers use to create these lures are around social web and email. So if I'm a hacker and if I want to probably target employees or partners of WebSense, instead of me going and compromising a website that is deployed after several security defenses, what I instead would do is, I'll just create or put something interesting which is relevant for either the WebSense employees or the partners of WebSense, put a link, and that's a lure, right? So put a link which is very relevant, so when the users actually click that link, it takes the user to a location where the hacker wants them to go.
Vinod Vasudevan, COO of Paladion Networks, and Jagdish Mahapatra, MD of McAfee India and SARC, later took the stage and discussed topics like security analytics for risk decision and risk insights, and security operations or security intelligence, a paradigm shift. The event saw a power-packed discussion that dealt with topics such as the complex role of the CISO, protecting enterprises, and the need for security to be an intrinsic part of every organization.
And the security infrastructure is really not something, in my opinion, something that you can review, let's say, once a quarter or once half a year. It really needs to be something that is integrated into the DNA of your business so that it's a daily, hourly activity as well. But is this understanding something that the Indian C-suite has understood and acknowledged that a security is a second-by-second thing?
No, I think security has come a long way in terms of where we were 5 years back and where we are now. I think it's in the news. As a consumer, you experience it, and you're reading about it, and so having a perception about it. As a corporate, you are looking at how information is becoming very important, and everything is computerized. So automation is driving that, and so I think, and we have also seen the threat landscape. So clearly, it's a clear issue, and security is mainstream. It's no longer in the periphery and nice to have or a compliance requirement, but something which is a business driver and a business enabler.
Particularly for the financial services area, your question is, is the C-suite properly, apprised of information security? I would say financial services, given the direct impact, it's definite. It is fairly mature. It's not version 1 of the sort of governance or compliance out there. It has matured over the last several years. Perhaps this may not be as true in other industries, manufacturing or things like that. But, and I think we've also been gently assisted by our regulator. The RBI has made good and sure that the guidelines, are pretty explicit about what they require in the information security area. So I would definitely say the board and the senior management is well apprised of the need for information security.
Within the financial space as well, Vishal?
Yes, absolutely. I, of course, tend to agree with what Vishal and Aruna have shared. Clearly, there is a lot of refined understanding of the various issues that can come up, arising out of technology vulnerabilities or arising out of external threats. that is very well understood by senior management now.
Okay.
And it's not as if one needs to kind of tell them what are the threats out there. A lot of things are already out there happening. While as a country, India has been relatively secure so far. We read and hear about a lot of things which are happening in the Western world. And most of our organizations have presence outside. So a lot of visibility on the events which are happening, plus the way the technology itself has been changing, has led to a heightened awareness about what security threats can come to be, and definitely the understanding.
So within the financial space, you do have the RBI pushing you as well, and you said, this is not version 1. We're talking about awareness of issues on one front, but I'd like to talk about the role of the CISO and the CTO on a much macro scale as well. As a CISO, as a CTO, you're juggling a number of things. You're juggling performance, obviously. You have your shareholders. Effectively, at some level, you're also responsible for answering to your shareholders. You're looking at daily operational issues. You're looking at the brand as a larger picture. Has the CISO, CTO been accorded this kind of a special place within organizations, or do you think this is still a way to go before organizations are largely going to acknowledge and respect the fact that the CISO is doing more than just trying to, close the loopholes in the system? Let's get you in on this, Subhash.
Definitely. I think there is definitely a very good appreciation and understanding of the responsibility a CISO carries. I'll just pick up a cue from what Aruna was saying a little earlier. In the last 2 years, there has been a thrust from the regulator to have very, very high-level committees at the board level who need to focus on issues such as information security. So a lot of communication to these high-powered committees gets channelized through the CISO, through the members of the senior management. So there is definitely a heightened appreciation, and I would think the necessary importance and relevance that is associated with the CISO's role is definitely there, and I can speak for the financial services space. In some of the other sectors, where the threats are perhaps not as pronounced as they are in the banking space, the level of recognition and importance perhaps is not up to the desired level.
Mr. Salvare, how complex is this problem? How big is the lack of leadership issue within the CISO space?
I think these are all new roles in some sense.
The CRO, absolutely, yeah.
So I think people are growing into these roles, and there are clearly industry leaders who will be on par with business leaders also in the security space. But in general, I think as teams start handling problems and as they acquire experience and formal qualification, I think organizations need to focus on development of leadership attributes of people who are going to be given these roles internally, so that there are second line of succession and so on. I think work needs to be done there. I'm seeing a lot of CISOs doing great work, but in general, or in some cases, probably some handholding by the management may be necessary.
How much of handholding are you doing? How complex is this issue for you?
There are mature organizations which have internal leadership development programs, and I remember a scenario where we did a quality improvement program as well. So I think these incremental things are going on, but in terms of academic courses or internal development programs, these are something which probably need to be beefed up.
Sure. Ms. Rao?
I think I agree with my colleagues that the CISO role has now been established. The formal role, the reporting, the organization structure, the formal part of it is well established. It's been there now, say, 4 or 5 years at least. What still continues to evolve is the way the CISO interacts with the other departments.
Right. Okay.
Which I think is a little bit of what Vishal was saying. And that really depends on each organization, the individual CISO, how he or she, works it through. So I think that part is really evolving as we work through.
If you could also come in on this, what can be done to make the CISO's role far more smoother? In other words, what are the bottlenecks to a CISO, CTO's smooth operation?
The two different roles. Let's not, when we're talking about the CISO,
yeah.
So I don't think there are real bottlenecks. The question is, of making sure that information security becomes a part of the whole organization, firm's fabric. Since I'm from the technology, it's important to say that it doesn't get restricted to an IT security kind of role.
Right.
So the whole part is about how we can disseminate the responsibility to the rest of the organization. It's not one individual called a CISO, who's entrusted with the security across the whole, organization. So you need to have different, shall I say, initiatives or forums. And I'll just take a minute to plug what we've done at the bank. We have started an initiative. We call it Aristi. It is not a technology initiative. Mm-hmm. It's an initiative to get the whole organization involved in information security. Mm-hmm. It could be security of, say, hard copy document lying on somebody's desk. It could be physical security, tailgating into an office. Yeah. All of these things, right? So we've set up a role called a BISO, Business Information Security Officer. And each business has nominated one person, and it's his job to inculcate this culture, if you will, into that unit. And these kind of things helps the CISO to push down that knowledge, attitude, understanding of information security.
Okay. Subhash?
Yes, to a great extent, yes, there is a lot of appreciation. Also, culturally, I tend to agree with her. There is a lot of efforts which need to be taken both ways. It's mm-hmm. not just the organization which needs to take the initiatives. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the primary responsibilities of a CISO mm-hmm. is to ensure that responsibility for information security is not nested and controlled within the unit of the information security function. Okay. Truly, information security awareness and propagating the culture of awareness and protecting the security mm-hmm. can happen only if every business unit and indeed every individual in the organization is A, aware of the various issues and threats which are there, mm-hmm. and B, make small contributions in whatever form and manner are possible, mm-hmm. which will help the larger cause. Okay. So to a great extent, a lot of that initiative has to be driven by people like us, mm-hmm. and once people are aware and appreciative of the efforts, mm-hmm. I'll just take an example to kind of illustrate what I'm trying to say.
Please.
We've been trying to do an initiative in our organization for promoting awareness about phishing. Okay. Phishing is, as we all know, customers get entrapped in phishing in various ways. Now within organization, an organization like ours has got a lot of churn, 3 or 4 years, and there is a whole set of new people who come in. So it's constantly one needs to make people aware of what are the various things that need to be done to mm-hmm. protect against phishing and so on and so forth. And once we've done this, we've done 2 or 3 rounds of it so far. Mm-hmm. People have come back to us mm-hmm. from far corners of the organizations, appreciating that they were not aware of this. This has helped them stop so and so things. We've got incidents which have got stopped mm-hmm. thanks to vigilance of people who had nothing to do with the information security function.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's both ways.
So go beyond the mandate of just information security and look beyond as well. So I could I get you in on here? You look at the industry from bird's eye view out there as well. What are the regular challenges that CISOs have to grapple with in order to go about their effective functioning?
So probably I'm not the best person to answer this question because CISOs probably Vishal and Suresh will have some take on that. But what I've seen from fraud domain, which I used to handle, is that a lot of decision making is crisis driven. So if there is a crisis, you get a mind share. Mm-hmm. Then rest of the time it is business as usual. So I think there are a lot of back-end activities which have to be carried out regularly. If the management is supportive and you have got a good plan to execute, I think it gets done. But many times, large investments in technology and so on will get done if there is a crisis which brings about the need for that. So I think it comes back to the same thing of how aware the senior management is. I would think that the decision making remains by and large, from what I see about the industry.
Burgess Cooper, CTSO, Vodafone, later took the stage and moderated an engaging discussion on BYOD, Bring Your Own Device or Bring Your Own Disaster. That also included Agnello D'Souza, CISO, Kotak Mahindra. The event also saw issues like vendor risk management, protect what matters, and threat prevention through pervasive intelligence by various industry leaders like Samir Ratholikar, CISO Axis Bank, Vasant Kumar, Solution Architect HP, and Krishnan Jagannathan, BSA Security Tiger Team, IBM. The event concluded on a fun-filled note with a quiz conducted by Sumit Dhar of Hewlett Packard.